Black math! Give me some math and I'll give you some flack. Black math!
Practice test 9. Number 1, the ratio of sailors to pirates. So tic-tac-toe, whenever you're dealing with...
That's the test. And that's 11. We're on 9. That's test 11.
Oh, yeah. That's not the test. It's still the practice test. The test, remember, is the Form A and stuff like that. So, but it should be 9. Thank you.
The dog walks so weirdly. Dog walks weirdly. What's happening? The dog's weird? It's a greyhound. That's how they walk. Oh, that is odd. It's a greyhound puppy because all the bills and stuff.
Greyhounds are so weird looking.
Where? I want to see Sophie. They are like on really weird. I can't see it. Hot. I like that seat. A lot better than this one.
Okay. A number cube, basically a die. How many sides are on a die?
6.
I thought you were holding up.
No.
6. Yeah, all right, 6. All right, so find the probability of rolling a number less than 3. Well, how many numbers are less than 3?
3. No. Less than 3 is, I thought you meant
Just
3.
1 and 2. So how many out of the total is that?
2.
2 out of 6. And you can reduce it to 1/3. Okay, does that make sense?
If you got it wrong, do you just like correct it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh. Who else joined?
So we got Avery and Grady joining us. Okay, does that make sense for number 1?
Yes.
Okay, what if it was all even numbers? What's the probability of rolling an even number? Hunter? Half, because you got 2, 4, and 6, right? There's 3 out of a total of 6. So probability is what you're looking for over the total number of possibilities. Okay. So let's see. Adrian's test scores were 100, blah, 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 find the mean and the median. So first step, what's the first step whenever you're finding stuff like this? Yes, Kiara. Well, you can if you're just finding the mean, but the first thing you should do, because sometimes they ask for the mean, median, mode, and range and stuff like that, put them in order. And you need that to write them in order because you're finding the median. So let's see, what's the lowest number there? 84?
83.
Is there an 83? No, there's a 93.
Oh.
84, 88. Is that all the 80s? Oh, 87 first, and then 88. So 87, 88, 91. What else? 93 or 2? Is there another 91? 93. Oh, 92 first. 93. Thank you. 97 and 98. And then 100. And then what I always do is I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. So Elijah, why don't you come up here and you can sit here from now on. And you can stay there from now on. And then if we want later in the semester, we can swap, but we'll keep it this. So these are your assigned seats.
Okay.
All right. So now it's easy to find the median, except here's the problem. There's no number in the middle. That's the middle. So what do you do to find the median? Yeah, what's halfway between 91 and 92?
91.5.
All right, so the median is 91.5 or 91.5. And it's also the average. So if I found the average of those two numbers, you add them up, divide by 2, you get 91.5. All right, so that's the median. But we're going to find the mean. So how do you find the mean of 10 numbers?
Add them all up.
Add them all up and divide by,
The number of numbers.
which is
10.
10. Okay? Did anyone do that?
No.
Yep.
What'd you get?
91.1.
All right. Hey, is that like Caleb? Or something? Isn't that Caleb? 91.1
It is like
FM?
91.1, yeah.
Something like that. Okay. I'm going to trust you with that math. So if you get this wrong, it's Grace's fault. Yes.
I was confused because on the printed version, it has these like tallies above a couple of the numbers.
Yeah, it's just someone who wrote in the book. So they were just kind of checking off to see which, because it's hard to write numbers in order because you're like, wait, did I say that already? So they're kind of check them off as you get them. So, all right. So we're going to, we just found the mean, which is A, and this is actually B, the median. Okay. It might ask you for the range. How do you find the range? Do you remember the range?
My old math book last year, I used to have this spot marked where it says like the mean, median, range and stuff because I'd always forget. So every single lesson I'd have to go back.
Well, if I were to use the word range in normal life, how would I say that?
The range of
Range of what?
scores on a test.
Yeah, range of scores on a test. So range from like blah to blah, 84 to 100. So the range is that total amount. So the range would be 100 minus 84. So the range would be 16. Okay. The mode, you got to remember what the mode is? If it asks for the mode. Did we talk about range, median, mean, and mode? Okay. Well, that's weird that this is. Okay, so the mode is what happens most often. So you got two 91s. So this would be the mode if it asks for it. Okay? But, all right, number 3. Evaluate. F times parentheses G plus H. So it gives you F, 0.6, gives you G, it's just 4, and it gives you H, which is 0.5. So just plug them in. So F is 0.6, and G is 4, and H is 0.5. So do what's in parentheses first. What's 4 plus 0.5?
4.5.
4.5. So 0.6 times 4.5. What do you get? So 27 would be 6 times 4.5. So what's 0.6 times 4.5? Yeah?
I got 2.7.
2.7. There you go. So you just need to move that decimal over one more place. When you multiply those two numbers, you remember you don't just line up the decimals. You just multiply normally, and then you count the total number of decimal places. So there's one in this number and one in this number. So you end up with that when you multiply, and then you move the decimal place over 2 places. Okay? Questions with that? Multiplying decimals? Can you guys handle that? Yes?
If there are like zeros at the end, we can just cross them off, right?
Yeah, on the decimal number, yep. So the answer is just 2.7. Okay? But don't cross them off before you figure out where the decimal goes. Okay? All right, number 4. So we're going to refer to this chart, and we're going to answer these questions. So it looks like these are how many votes these guys got. So the 3rd place candidate received how many more votes than the 5th place candidate? Okay, it's a little puzzle here. Who came in third place?
Terry.
Terry. And who came in fifth place?
Mary.
All right. How many did Terry have?
17.
17. And how many did Mary have?
10.
10. So what's 17 minus 10?
7.
7 more votes. So when it asks for how many more, that's usually a subtraction problem, right? So how much older am I than you? Well, that's a big subtraction problem. Okay. All right. So that's A. What B? So what fraction of the votes did Don receive? Well, first of all, how many votes did Don receive?
20.
20. Now, what do you mean? What fraction of the votes? How do you do that? Kiara, do you know what to do there?
I added all the votes up, and then I subtracted 20 from there.
Okay, so you don't subtract. It'd be 20 out of the total, right?
So you would put the
So what's
total
the
under
total?
and then 20 on top.
So what's
Then
the
you
total?
actually reduce.
What's the total there? What'd you get when you got the total?
I got 82.
Is that right? Okay. 82. All right, so 20 out of 82. So let's reduce that. They're both even numbers, right? So 10 41sts. And that's done reducing. 41, nothing goes into 41. Does that make sense? So the fraction is what you're talking about out of the total. So if I ate 3/4 of the pizza, I ate 3 out of the 4 pieces.
Because I got 31 out of 41.
Yeah, so do you see why that makes sense? Okay, good. All right. And so basically what you did is you said you found the fraction that everyone else got. So what fraction did Don not get? Well, 31/41st. Okay. Erasing. Moving on. Coordinates, the vertices of a triangle. All right, we get to graph something. Okay, so if you have graph paper, then you're cool. So if you don't have graph paper, get some. You can actually print some out. Actually, if you use the templates that I provide for your tests, each question it's graph paper. So you can just plot points right on your test answer sheet. So I'm just going to do a rough graph here. Not ideal, but we're going to do it. Okay, remember, don't be like Belle. Don't. Did we talk? We talked about Belle and Beauty and the Beast, right?
Yeah. No.
What? We didn't?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So Belle is a poor role model for kids in the whole world. Okay. Do you know why? You know that scene I'm talking about the animated version. You know that scene? She's in the library and she's getting a book and she's on that big tall ladder, and then she goes, yay, and the ladder moves. That's terrible ladder safety. Okay. Some kid probably died because of freaking Belle. That's bad. So that ladder, the wheels are not meant to be a little roller coaster. It means that it's easier to move. So you're not supposed to do that. So when you're graphing points, you have to move the ladder first. So you go left or right first, and then you go up or down. Okay? So think about that. So most people, if they get these wrongs, they go up or down first instead of left or right first. So how do you graph -1, 7? Terrible ladder safety.
Across.
So you went down on the ladder and then you moved across. You're going to hurt yourself. So what do? -1, 7.
I'll go over to the
Left 1 and then up 7. Okay. I just want to make sure you get that right, because if you ever work construction, then you might hurt yourself. Okay? So go left or right first. -1, up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's where -1, comma 7 is. Right? Yep.
You can also think of it because left starts with an L. You can say ladder first, and then you climb.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to remember it. Okay, so left 1, up 7. Well, how do you graph 3, comma -10, Marin? There's redemption. 3, comma -10.
3 across 10. -10 down.
Yep, good. So 3 to the right because it's positive, and then down 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like about right there. Okay, and then we've got 3, comma 7. How do you do 3, comma 7? Right, 3, up 7. Okay, so do you see how that's 3 corners or 3 vertices of the triangle? So now if I connect these dots here, bloop, 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 there's a triangle. Okay, what is the area of the triangle? How do you find the area of a triangle?
The length times width divided by 2.
Right, so base times height or length times width divided by 2. So what's the width of that? It's 3, yeah, 3, it's actually 4. Because that was a little off there. Because see how it goes over 3, up 7, and this one goes left 1, up 7. So there's one more to that 3. Okay? So and then what's the height? What's that thing?
17.
So 7 plus another 10, so 17 divided by 2. So what is that? 51 divided by 2. So that's like 25 and a half. Whew, that was not pretty. I don't like it when it's decimals like that.
It looks like a very funky pizza slice.
It is. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait. Why did I say 3? It should be 4.
Can I correct you on that?
I corrected me on that. So if you would have beat me to it, then yes. So 4 times 17 is a little different. What's 4 times 17? 68? So 68 divided by 2 is 34 square units. Okay? Does that make sense for number 5?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, number 6, read the following statement, then answer the questions that follow. 3/8 of the... Okay, so we're going to try to translate this into a mathematical sentence. That's always easier. I'd rather do math and not math and English. Okay, 3/8 of those who rode the giant gyro at the fair were delirious. All the rest were dazed. So 3/8 of the people were delirious. Delirious. So what fraction were not delirious? Kiara? Or Kiara? Sorry.
5/8.
5/8. So if 3/8 were delirious, that means 5/8 were dazed. Okay? The rest were dazed. So you have to know the skill of finding the rest of something. So if I ate 7/8 of the pizza, how much pizza was left? 1/8. Okay, can you guys handle that skill? All right, what's the first question asked? What fraction of those are okay? So we got that. That's A. What's B say? What was the ratio of those that were delirious to those who were dazed? You know this one, Adeline?
Is it 3/5?
3 to 5. That's right. So there's 3, and it's not necessarily 3 people, but that's a reduced ratio. So 3 to 5, you could say 3:5 or 3/5 or 3 to 5. All those answers are right. Okay? So remember, when you find a fraction of something, it's that number out of the total. But if you're finding a ratio, it's that number compared to the other guys. Okay? So that kind of makes sense. All right, number 7. If the perimeter of a rectangle is 16 millimeters, find its length. Okay? Now,
Oh,
what's the 3?
the height is 3.
Doesn't even say that it's 3. It just says it on the diagram. Okay. So if this is 3, this is 3. So basically, this all has to add up to 16, right? You know how to do it? Anybody else besides Kiara and Adeline? Marion, how do you do it?
Well, the answer is 5.
Yeah, you can just try to figure out a number and see if it works. Let's see if that works. Now we add it up. We get 10 plus 6 is 16. That works. So perimeter equals 3 plus 3 plus something plus something. And so if the perimeter has to be 16, you have to figure out a number, and it's going to be the same number added twice. That added to 3 and 3 will give you 16. Can you guys figure that out? Okay. Question?
Yeah. If for that problem, what would happen if if they would only give you the measurement of the length, would it still be like the same? Would you solve it the same way?
Yeah, same way.
Okay.
So if they just gave you 5, you just say 5 plus 5 is 10. So what two numbers have to be added together? What same number added twice will give you 16? Well, 3 and 3.
Or you could subtract 10 from 16.
Yep. So if you subtract 10 from 16 and then divide it by 2. Yep.
That's what I did.
Good. All right. How do you change a percent to a decimal? Grace?
You move the decimal from, because it's right next to 7, so move it over 2 times to the left.
Okay. Always 2 places. No more, no less. It's not 0.327. It's 3.27. Okay? Yes, Kiara?
I kind of thought of it as kind of like money, because
Yeah.
you can just put it next to the 3, or you can think of it as 320. If 1 equals 100, there's
Yeah.
3 ones, and then you can go 3.27.
Yep. Yeah. So over 100% means it's over 1, over the whole thing. So 3.27, that makes sense. All right, number 9. Write 5/4 as a decimal number. Okay, you could try to figure this out in your head, which, how do you write that as just a normal mixed number? Adeline?
It would be 1 1/4.
1 and 1/4. And how do you say 1/4 as a decimal? Adeline?
0.25.
0.25, so it would be 1.25. The other way to do this is just divide. What's 5 divided by 4? How many times does 4 go into 5? 1 time, add a decimal, the 0. How many times does 4 go into 10? 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract. Bring down another 0. How many times does 4 go into 20? 5. This will always work. Okay, you don't have to think about fractions. Okay, 1/4 is 0.25. So you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I would suggest doing it both ways. If this is an easy fraction like that, then you try to figure it out with decimals first and then do the division to make sure you get the same answer. Okay? All right, number 10. Round 67.24 to 4 decimal places. So the first thing I'm going to do is write it out. Just a bunch of places. I need to not stop at 4 decimal places, because if I'm rounding to the 4th, I need to know what the next one is. So I'm going to give myself plenty of numbers. So rounding, you go to the 4th decimal place. Then you look to the digit on the right. 5 or above, give it a shove. 4 or below, keep it low. Keep it the same. So this is just 67.2424. That makes sense? Is that what you guys got? Okay.
Would the 24 be repeating?
Nope, because you're rounding. When you're rounding, you stop at that fourth decimal place. 0.24 repeating is the number you started with, but you're rounding that to 4 decimal places. Okay? This is 0.24 repeating is actually a more exact answer, but it's hard to deal with repeating decimals in calculations. You can't add those or do anything with them, so you have to round them if you want to do anything with them. Number 11. Find the measures of these angles. What do all the angles in a triangle have to add up to?
180.
180. This is some geometry. What does that little square mean?
Right angle.
So how many degrees is a right angle?
90.
90. So this, I'm just going to write 90 there. So what does A have to be?
Has to be.
I'll have to add up to 180, right?
It has to be.
How do you figure that out? You guys know? Well, these guys know. Hunter, what do you do?
I was just gonna say the answer.
Oh, what's the answer to A?
Well, I don't think it's right. Okay, I am lost.
That's all right. What did you get for the answer?
I haven't done it yet, but you add it together and subtract it.
Okay, so you add these together. What is that? 119 degrees. Okay, and then so I subtract that from 180, and I get 61 degrees. So that's what A is. So A equals 61 degrees. Now, how do you figure out what B is? Adeline?
A and B have to make 180.
Yeah, so these two also have to be equal 180 because that's 180 degrees. So if that's 61 of it, then you already know what that is. What's 180 minus 61? 119. You just figured that out. So basically, here's another side note, is that this angle will always equal these two angles added together. Okay, and then what's C? 61 degrees. So these are called vertical angles, and these are always the same. And if there was a D here, what would D be?
119.
119, same as that. Okay, so these angles are all equal to each other or supplementary angles. Remember, supplementary angles add up to 180. All right, number 12. Divide 3.2 by 11. And write the quotient with a bar over the repetend. Okay, so this is going to be a repeating decimal. So how many times is 11 going to 32? 2 times. All right, so 22, blah, blah. You get 10. Bring down another 0. How many times 11 go into 100? 9. 9 times 11 is 99. You get 1. Bring down a 0. How many times does 11 go into 10?
Oh.
0. 0. Blah, blah. Bring down another 0. Goes in 9 times. 99. Blah, blah, blah. Bring down a 0. Goes in 0 times. So what's my repeating decimal?
90.
Okay, so 90. So don't just do this. You have to rewrite it. So equals 0.290. And then make sure you put the line over the 90. Don't put the line over the 2. Because that doesn't repeat. Just the 9 and 0 repeat. All right, so there's a couple ways to do this. But you could think of this as just finding an equivalent fraction. What's the golden rule of equivalent fractions? How do you figure out what that D is? Grace?
do what you did to top to
Okay,
bottom.
so what did you do to the bottom to get 48?
Multiply it by 6.
6, so 5 times 6 equals 30. All right, there's another way to do this. Does anyone know the other way? Adeline?
The fish method.
Fish method. This is a little bit bigger of a math problem, but you could do that. 48 times 5, and then divide by 8. So 240 divided by 8 equals 30. So that works too. Okay? There's a third way that is a little bit more difficult, but well, 5 times something equals 8. It's a decimal. Then you have to divide by 48, but that's a little annoying. Right now, there's two pretty easy ways, the equivalent fraction method or the fish method. Either one works. You can choose whatever one you want. Okay, 14. So this is a little bit of algebra. You've been doing problems like this almost your whole life, but algebra is when you write it down. So when you use variables. Okay, the goal in algebra is to get the variable by itself. How do you get rid of plus 7.98? What do? Or maybe you just know how to do it, because what we talked about the first couple of weeks of school is when you're missing something in an addition problem, what operation do you do to figure that out? Kiara? Subtract. Okay, but algebraically, here's how I do it. If you have to get v by itself, because you want to have v equals something, then to get rid of something that's being added, you do the opposite. Subtract 7.98. But this is a balanced scale, so if you take weight off of the left side, you better take the same weight off the right side. So we're going to subtract 7.98 there. So what does that equal? 1.02? 2.02? No, 1.02. Okay. So that's it. And then just check it to make sure. 1.02 plus 7.98 equals 9. That's right. Okay, 15. It's another kind of opposite operation, but what happens when you're missing the second number in a subtraction problem? Yeah, do you know?
Subtract.
You subtract. You do another subtraction problem. Well, this would be, let's see, 8 minus that, which is kind of weird, but you could do that. Okay? So if this doesn't make sense, think of a number, an easy subtraction problem, like 5 equals 8 minus 3, right? So what we're missing is this 3. So how do you get 3 with the numbers 8 and 5? Do you add them? You subtract. You subtract this number minus this number. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to subtract 0.188. And then we get, let's see here, 7 point, what is that? 812 or something like that?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay. All right. So make sure because you're either going to add or subtract in that problem, right? And some of you will probably add because you see that subtraction and you go, oh, I have to do the opposite. So make sure you check your work. And if you got it wrong, then you say, oh, maybe I should have subtracted instead of added. Yes, Kiara?
What was the correct answer?
Correct answer is 7.812. What'd you get?
I got 7.982.
982?
Yeah.
Yeah, unless I wrote the problem down wrong.
I got 7.812.
Yeah, I think that's the right answer. All right, number 16. Just adding fractions. You can line them up like this. Vertically is always the best way to add fractions. Find a common denominator of all three of those. What's the common denominator of 3s and 4? Adeline?
12.
12. So I'm going to rewrite them with 12 as the denominator. So we did this, remember, the same way we did number 13, equivalent fraction method. What's the golden rule? How do we figure out that number?
Do whatever you.
Yeah, so you times 4, so this is times 4. This is times 3, so this top's times 3. This is times 4 again, times 4. So let's see, 8, 3, 8. So far, so good? All right, let's add them up. 8 plus 3 is 11, plus 8 is 19 twelfths. Well, what's the problem with that? 3 and 19 twelfths, is that right? Well, it's right, but it's just not grammatically correct. So what do you have to do? Yeah, there's a whole number in there, right? So when you take 12 twelfths out of there, you have to subtract 19 minus 12 is 7 twelfths. Okay, or you could just change that to a mixed number. 1 and 7 twelfths, and then you're going to carry the 1 over here. So then you got 4 and 7 twelfths.
Yeah.
Okay, there's more than one way to do that. But understand this is not wrong. So if you wrote this, I'd give you half off. You get half credit because you did everything else right. You just didn't write the right answer grammatically correct. Yes.
Can they go to the bathroom?
Yep. All right, number 17. What do you do first? Yep, do what's inside parentheses first. So I'm going to do that. That looks like a subtraction problem. So let's do that. 5 minus 2 and 3/10. So if you're good with this, this is actually 5 and 0/10. You can leave it like that if you want, or you can change them to improper fractions, but we can't subtract. So we're going to borrow. And so this is 4 and 10/10. Right? Does that make sense? 4 whole pizzas and then 10/10 of a pizza is another whole pizza. So you can write 5 as 4 and 10/10. So when you subtract 10 minus 3 is 7/10. 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay, so that's just the answer to that. So now we're going to subtract it from 6.5. They're not common denominators yet, so this needs to be changed to a 10 times 5 times 5. So then we got 5/10 minus 7/10. Same problem. So what do? Borrow from the 6. 1 whole. So what's whole in 10/10 language? How many tenths is a whole? So if you add 10/10 to 5/10, what do you get? 15/10. Okay, so 15/10 minus 7/10 is 8/10. 5 minus 2 is 3. You're done. So if this is confusing to you, the easiest thing to do is just change these to improper fractions. Then you don't have to worry about borrowing or anything like that. Okay?
Mr. Flack,
Yes, sir.
can't you reduce 8/10?
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't done yet. Did you think I was done? Just kidding.
Yeah.
No, you're good. I'll give you a free problem set. So 3 and 4/5. So if you write that, that's right, but it's not grammatically correct because it's not reduced. I was confused where that voice came from.
I thought that was the walkie-talkie.
I thought it was the radio too. It was like, Mr. Flack, go to 2. I don't know. Good job, Grady. All right, number 18. So how do you multiply mixed numbers? Correct answer? You don't. That's right. So you have to change it to improper fractions first. So that's what we're going to do first. So how do you change 3 and 1/5 to an improper fraction? 3 times 5 plus 1, right? So what is it? 16/5 times, let's see, 32 plus 3 is 35/8. And then times, how do you change 2 to a fraction? Yes?
You just had a one under it.
Yep, there you go. All right, so now I'm going to take out my red pen. Why my red pen?
Because you're gonna kill things.
I'm going to kill things. That's right. So let's see here. The 8 and 16 can reduce to 1 and 2, right? Look at the 5 and 35, 1 and 7. And then you just have ones on the bottoms, which means you can't reduce anything else on top. So then you get 2 times 7 times 2, which is 28 over 1, or just 28. That's nice. When everything cancels, it's a beautiful thing. It just simplifies your life. All right, 2 more. How do you divide fractions? Hunter?
You don't.
You don't. What do? Flip and multiply. Jeez. Okay, so which one are you flipping? The second one. The other way to remember this is copy dot flop. First of all, mixed numbers, get rid of those. Those are useless. So change them to improper fractions first, and then now you got a division problem that you can copy dot flop. So copy 5 over 1 to 5 over 1, dot the division, and flop the 5/2 to 2/5. What color pen am I going to use now?
Red.
Red. The 5s are dead. 2 over 1, or just 2. Nice. That worked out nice. Okay, last problem. How do you divide decimals? How do you divide by a decimal? What's the correct answer?
You don't.
You don't. So you have to change that decimal to a whole number by moving it until it falls off the cliff. And it disappears. You have to move it 1 to the right. Now it's just a 9. But you can't just do that. If you change something in math, you always have to change something else. You move the decimal 1 place to the right, move this one 1 place to the right. Okay? All right, now it's just 9 into 54.9. How many times 9 go into 54? 6 times. 6 times 9 is 54. Subtract it, 0. Bring down the 9. 9 goes into 9 1 time, and you're done. Okay, how's this feel? Exhausting? Yeah. You guys think you can handle this test?
Mm-hmm.
Is it doable? All right.